Hello everybody. Today I'm working on a 1983 JCM 800. Just come in the shop. Quick overlook. I've determined that the tubes were pretty tired. They tested pretty low on my tube tester, which usually just an indication, but the print's worn off. They've been in there for a long time. Some old Sovtecs. We're going to swap those out. It's got a nice mix of some vintage preamp tubes. All test good, so we're going to leave those. I don't see an issue with them. But so I've discussed this with the customer, and I've also suggested, for longevity reasons, that we go ahead and do a recap on this. These are the old original filter capacitors from 1983. They're due for a change. 20-25 years is long enough, and it's been well beyond that. So we're gonna get some new filter caps in there, some new bias caps, new tubes. Other than that, not a lot of issues with it I have found so far. It still sounds good. I think the noise floor will definitely come down a little bit with the new filter caps too, so it'll be a good improvement to a classic amplifier. Stay tuned. Here's the inside of the 800 here. It is pretty much all original, untouched. I'm the first one in there. We'll get those bias caps right there changed out. Originally came in because the low sensitivity jack was not working. What happened is the ground broke between the jacks. Was just a solid wire there, and that busted. So I've rewired the jack and with the ground there, and we fixed that. So now on to the good stuff. Got some nice new bias caps in there. I was able to unbolt this board and just get it tipped up. Try and do this with the camera in my hand. Get it tipped up just enough. Sneak my iron in there. Remove the old ones and get the new ones in there. The leads bent over and soldered in real nice. Never like to cut the leads of caps and solder to those. I try to do it right. Only thing I had to do is disconnect this one ground wire. Just goes to that bus bar right there, and get that reattached. And then yeah, this board will be done. One of the nuts was missing off one of the standoffs right there. I don't know if that was a factory miss or what, but nothing came rolling out when I took the head out of the chassis, so we'll put a new nut on there and make it nice and secure like it's supposed to be. Not that it really needs 6 nuts to hold this on there. 4 would probably be just fine, but that's the way it was built. That's the way we're going to make it. Alright. Well, I've gone ahead and got the preamp filter stage cap changed from the top side. Just a lot easier. Now we're going to move on to these guys. So we can get this flipped over here. Alright, here we are. We're going to start pulling some of these caps here. I've loosened 3 of them. The other one I couldn't get to the screw until I moved one of the caps out of the way, so let's go ahead and do that. I think it was this cap's got to move. I like to take pictures of how things are before I take it apart, so I can put it back together the same way. Be very careful not to burn any insulation. You can tell these things are just tacked on there. That's hardly even a good connection. This one is a good connection because it goes all the way through to the next one. So, and I discharged all these ahead of time. Make sure you always discharging these caps, because you're definitely going to get a surprise if you don't. And there we are. That is that one. Let's see if I can get that out from the bottom there. But I think I'm gonna have to loosen that clamp just a little bit more. Or we can pull it out this way. There we are. Let's do that. Alright, there we are with our first filter cap can replaced. I'm going to move on to the other three. I will see you in a bit. Alright, here we are. We're all recapped with our new F&T filter caps in there. Looks pretty much the same as we found it. And then we got another guy over here. And then we got the other one under the board we did from the top side. Can't see. And there's our bias caps. And we are fully recapped. No other caps in here to change out because they are all film. So we're on to installing some tubes, getting we'll throw it on the Variac to start it up, and yeah, we'll bring it up to voltage slowly and we'll get some voltage readings, go from there, get it all biased up. Alright, I spent some time warming this up slowly on the Variac. Now I just got it plugged in with some tubes. It's a fresh set of EL34s. Got a couple meters going here so I can measure each side. As you can see, we're about 22, 21 milliamps right now, really cold. My math says about 35 milliamps will bring us about 65% bias, which I think is a good safe number to go with on this. So let's see if we can crank her up here, the old bias pot there, and watch the meters and see if we can get up there without making a resistor change. Would be nice. Oh yeah. Yeah, about 35 right there. Kind of take the average of both sides there. And this is just measuring one power tube, one on each side. So after I, get this settled where I want it, I'll pull them bias probes out and then just hit the other two just to make sure that we're still where I want it to be. Because even though it's a match set, sometimes you still find one that's a couple milliamps hotter. Even though my supplier's pretty good at getting them right there where they should be. So I'm just going to back it down just a hair. Yeah, it was climbing up right there. Anytime you're biasing, you gotta give it time to settle, make sure it's going to stay there. Good. I always do 20 minutes at least. So yeah, about 35 right there. I think I'll let it burn in and make sure that bias setting holds, and then I'll switch tubes and we'll call it a day. So yeah, after I get that set, we'll come back and we'll see what it sounds like. Well, after it settled down a little bit, we ended up at about 33.5. I had to adjust my math a little bit because the plate voltage came down after settling for a while. So 33.5, it's up there. It's pretty pretty much dead on, and it has been for the last 20 minutes. So we're going to call that good, wrap this up, and stay tuned for the sound test. Alright, we got her back up and running. Let's see what she sounds like. Got it kind of dialed in cleanish right now. Try it with a little bit of, I got the crayon here. Alright, well there you have it. All ready for another 20 years. Let's go.